So next up, we have News and Views HO scale modeling. Ed O'Rourke, MMR. He's building a HO layout, and his segment is sponsored by Mainline Hobbies.
Mainline Hobby Supply is your one-stop store for model trains in G, O, S, HO, N and Z scales, including locomotives, rolling stock, track, train sets, and more to help build your model railroad. We are the largest model railroad shop in the area, and we carry a wide range of model railroad supplies across scales. Our friendly staff is always available to help with your modeling needs and to special order anything you may require. Mainline Hobby Supply is in southern Pennsylvania, halfway between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. We are only an hour away from Baltimore, and we are easy to get to from the 70, 81, 83, and 270 freeways. Plan to stop by on your next trip through Pennsylvania. Mainline Hobby Supply also has an online store that can cater to your modeling needs wherever you are located. With our large inventory, fixed shipping costs, friendly and knowledgeable service and prompt shipping, consider Mainline Hobby Supply for your next online order. Use the QR code to access our online store.
Good evening, Ed.
Good evening.
Thank you for presenting this evening.
Okay. Here we go. There we are. Can we see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Go to slideshow.
Yep. All right.
View up top.
Here.
View. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So those of you who missed this in December, I put this together in response to one of Steve Sherrill's what do you want to talk about, which was, what do you do when you move, when you give up the big house and move to different quarters? And so that's what we're been talking about here. This is the new space, new possibilities, new challenges. The folks who owned the place before us had used this as storage. So you can see I moved some junk in there. And this is an important part of that. You see the washing machine and dryer here, and you can see the elevator over in the corner. This is there so that my wife doesn't have to carry the laundry down the stairs. And, you know, being the chief executive officer here, she is the one who grants trackage rights to the New Haven Railroad. So without that elevator, I would be doing this presentation because he wouldn't be living here. So anyway, there you have it. So this is the space. I'll just kind of give you a quick tour. The tables that you see here were originally on that wall as shelves that the people before us had put up. I took them apart, deconstructed them, and they made very nice tables with some, they got a nice plywood top. They're 2 feet deep and 30 inches high, which is just right for my reach-in distance seated. Whoops, wait a minute. All right. So Givens and Druthers. This is John Armstrong's layout planning system, which I find to be very helpful. My givens are that we're going to do heavy electric passenger and freight with catenary in the electric zone. The main line is going to be 2 tracks, number 6 switches minimum, main line minimum 24-inch radius, larger better, 6 to 8 car passenger trains, 9 to 12 car freight trains. And in New Haven Station, we're going to have 4 tracks, approximately centered between the 2 staging areas, space for engine storage and turning. Then the Druthers. druthers are the things that you'd like to have, but maybe aren't going to be a deal breaker if they don't turn out. We want a branch line with switching opportunities, mainline industry sidings, an industrial switching area. I had an operating plan like this in the old space, which was much smaller, that I think worked well, with the train line trains running through the station, engine and head end switching and so forth. This worked well for me, and I think with this space, I can do more of it. I had planned before we moved in to build the benchwork at desktop height. So finding those things that are 30 inches high, that the height that I can operate in a chair. This is because I've had some friends who ended up confined to a chair, and their layout was built at 52 inches and they couldn't see it sitting down. It's also not at grandchild height if it's 52 inches high. Spaces are regularly shaped. Didn't think there was enough room for a helix. It has a double door across the front, a concrete floor, stud walls, but no wallboard. And there's a water meter on the front wall that I have to, and the water shut off that I have to maintain access to. So here's the plan of the room, which I shared with some division friends. And that's what I recommend if you're planning a layout. Don't do it yourself. Talk to some of the guys who are into that kind of thing and let them have at it, which was what I did. So that's the size of the space. The area you see on the left there is not finished as well, and that's where the water meter and everything is. So I'm not sure that'll exist. So here's some plans that friends provided to me. Any continuous run plan involved either a lift gate across the door or multiple levels and helixes and things. And I decided I wasn't going to do that. The manufacturer's row is under a stairway outside the main room. We'll talk about that in a bit. And as I said, the space at the left is unfinished basement. So here's what we ended up with as a track plan. This is the west staging. This is New York, Maybrook. This over here, the east staging is Boston and Montreal and Cedar Hill Yard. This is the station area, motor storage, locomotive service. And then there's a branch line that connects in the station from the canal line that goes up the back here and around and comes over into here and actually dead ends back over here. And then we have the manufacturer's railway, which is a switching area. And you can see here, there's a little pass through the wall so we can get to that area. Room prep. Okay. You can see here the area that's going to become the manufacturer's railway under the stairs. I had a contractor do the work here. I tell people that I now do all my carpentry work and painting with a credit card. I find it much easier on me and it gets done a lot quicker. So you can see they've put the walls up and finished them for me. I'll paint them to look like sky and then I'll put a backdrop up and you can see the cut through into the manufacturer's area there. And I painted the ceiling. I had them paint the ceiling black like you do in a museum or like you do in theater, which makes it just disappear, but still allows access to all the different things that you've got up there that you may need to, the water shutoffs and things like that you may need to get to. And you could see over in the corner there, the section that's not finished. We'll talk about sometime about how we do that. So let's get out of here. So I find it helpful to have a small portion of the layout finished to a pretty good degree. It gives me something I can show to folks and tell them what I'm doing. So this plan was in John Armstrong's book, 6 HO Model Railroads You Can Build, published by Atlas Tool Company, using their sectional track components. And it was my father's layout when I was a kid growing up, the South Side connecting. I modified the plan a bit to make some other things work. It had a turntable, as you can see here, that was part of the plan, and that was actually part of the runaround track. So I eliminated that and reworked some of the trackage, but basically it's that plan, as you can see here. And this is 10 feet long. I built it with L girders, which I'd saved from the old layout, 1/2 inch plywood, with cork sheet. Built it with the same switching components, but I used flex track instead of sectional track. Took some fiddling around to make it fit in exactly. But this is an area that I'm gonna do first while they are working in the other room. It took me a while to get the people in to do the work in the other room. You'll note there's a rolling chair in there, and a music stand is very handy when you want to pop plans up to see what you're doing. So that's where, and this is completely portable. So when my daughters put me in a home, I can cut the connection to the main layout and take this with me and still have something to switch, which I think will be good. The backdrop is just 1/8 inch hardboard that I painted. Most of the structures are salvaged from the old layout. I ended up, you can deconstruct a lot of them and rebuild or do things. The road is drywall joint compound, which I find easy to work with and inexpensive. And here we go. It's pretty much complete here. I've got some DPM modular walls. There's also the Laube linen mill, which is ubiquitous on HO model railroads. Model Power Fraternity House, believe it or not, which became the grocery store here. Small-town USA Bank Building, an Ulrich Expanda unit factory, City Classic Smallman Street warehouse, and leftover walls from the Bachman Department Store, Walther's Interstate Fuel Company, and some scratch-built stuff. The coal ramp in the back is mostly scratch-built. And so, and the Rapido HO 44 tonner, when they came along, I had to have one of those. It just arrived fairly recently, actually. And that's what the New Haven used to switch the manufacturer's railroad. And that's what we will use here. It lets you get another car into the tail track on some of the Ys. And we'll just show you that. You note the Atlas crossing shanty in the back, and here's the Ravello one over here. Again, the roads are drywall joint compound finished with sanded grout, which works really well for a sort of rough asphalt road. And that's that. Thank you.
That's fantastic, Ed. And what was this time period we're looking at there? What was the span from beginning to end?
I've been in the house 2 years this coming Memorial Day. So a year and a half. We've been here a year and a half. And most of the first summer was getting things done. So I didn't really get much done before the fall a year ago. So I've been about a year to get to the point that I am now, where I've got all my track work in and I'm doing my scenery. You can get a lot done if you don't have this complication that so many people have of having to go to work. I'm retired, and you can spend a lot of time down in the train room when you don't have to go earn a living. And seemingly by magic, once a month, money shows up in your checking account just because you were such a good person.